This is day 2 of the Hobie BOS on the Santee Cooper lakes. I'm fishing Lake Moultrie on this day. The first day I spent on Lake Marion, but the weather was going to cooperate a little better for me on this day, so I decided to fish Moultrie and try to catch some bedfish that I had found. I had one area that I thought I could catch fish just fishing instead of actually having to see them, and that's what I'm starting on right here. I started off with a jerkbait on live scope because I did actually catch one in practice, and after seeing how tough the tournament was on the first day for everyone, I realized I probably did not have to catch much to get a check, and I wanted to kind of secure that right out of the gate if I could, because I probably only needed 70 inches to get paid. So if I got 5 keepers, I was probably getting paid. So I decided before I could see, before I could bed fish, I was just going to see what I could do with the pre-spawn and post-spawn fish on this spot that I had found.
Well, they are bass. They're not very big bass. No, sir. 11 inches long. That's not very big. Whew.
At that point, I decided it was time to put the jerkbait down, but I did want to keep it honest because first thing in the morning, I really didn't have anything that I felt was a surefire way to catch fish. I was expecting to catch some fish around this little island you can see off to my left. The bottom was kind of hard there, and beyond it is where that spawning flat is, and this is where I thought those fish may be stopping on their way in or on their way out. It didn't pan out for me. I started there and fished for probably half an hour and didn't get anything. That's when I then went to the jerkbait. I decided to make one more pass through. Now that the sun had gotten up, maybe position those fish a little better.
Gosh dang it.
Inside the top 10 at Santee Cooper, and this is what we're doing. So things definitely weren't going too great I slid not very far. I'm only 50 yards away from where I was now, and I'm about to make a cast out to the end of a very small point that I could see the end of the point on live scope. I don't actually have the live scope turned on right now, but I'm casting there because I remember where it was.
Yes.
This fish really changed the momentum of my day. I had those two 12-inchers, and I was in an area that I thought I was going to be able to catch a limit of 15, 16-inchers. So catching this fish kind of put the wind back in my sails because I was getting pretty worried. And, I was hoping the sight fishing would work out, but it's far from a guarantee. So my wheels were spinning a little bit, but this fish helped me settle back down. So I fished around slowly a little more, and I actually fished my whole way back into this creek to where these bedding fish were, and I didn't get any more bites. So I decided it was bright enough out, the sun was up high enough that I was going to switch to trying to sight fish. And you'll see what I'm looking at right here. These lily pads out in front of me have a bed kind of off to the right of them, but the bass was sitting underneath those pads. The pads on my left also have another bed on them, but the fish were not locked on. They were just kind of cruising around in this area, which is not what you want to see. So I was pretty much getting the idea at this point that these fish may get ready to bite later in the day, but right now my efforts were in vain. I cast to this fish right here, and the fish actually spooked completely and left the bed. But I did see another fish swimming around back behind it in that shade, and I cast out in front of that one. That's what you see the next cast I make.
Yes! Let's freaking go. Oh, you're such a kayak fish too. You would not matter in a bass boat tournament. Let's go. What's going on?
Catfish.
Oh man.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, it's just catfish going on.
Damn.
Hey, it's a good time.
Have you caught anything else?
Catfish.
No bass.
No bass. Like, I have no clue what I'm doing or what I'm supposed to be doing.
My brother and I are in pretty constant communication on the water. It helps because, for one, when you're in a kayak, you're not moving around all that much. So usually you're bored at times when the fishing's slow, and you're always curious about how your brother's doing. And in these tournaments, we're allowed to communicate. So not only can we, brighten up our day by hearing a fishing report, but we can exchange information, which can really help sometimes. And also, on more than one occasion, he'll call me and say, "Hey, I just caught a big one." And I'm like, "Yeah, I just caught a big one too." Even though we may be miles apart, it is remarkable how bite windows work. And the fish, there's just so much that we don't understand about them. Unfortunately, no video for this one. Didn't get him on video, but this was a fish that was on a deeper bed that I had found in practice, and I marked him. Came back and fished from a long ways off where I could just barely see the bed. I threw a wacky rig in there, and he bit on the first cast. Not only was that great to catch that fish and fill my limit, but it gave me some confidence that I may be able to do some more bed fishing now, because the fish that I had been looking at were not locked, but this fish was ready to go as soon as the bait landed. So yeah, limit filler. I knew I was getting paid at this point, and I was just, ready to try to find a couple more big ones, because at this point I wanted to catch big fish. I wasn't worried about catching a 14-incher because it was hard to get bites to begin with. So if I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to catch one, I'm going to fish for a big bite, not a small bite, and that's what you're going to see me do right here. So I'm still right in that same maybe 200-yard square area where these fish were spawning, and I was just moving around now that the sun was up looking for beds, and I saw one that looked to be pretty locked. That's why he caught me so off guard. And you'll see I'm using this push pole. That thing is vital to kayak fishing when you're trying to bed fish. Without it, you might as well forget about it.
It's a good fish. I really hope he bites easy. Can't tell if he's there. Oh crap, that's not good. Come back quick, please. Please come back quick. Gosh, he looked so locked, and he's a big one too. Dang it, man.
So bed fishing when the fish aren't being super cooperative is very risky. And at this point, I'm having to decide, hey, do I need to scrap bed fishing entirely? Are they just too skittish to catch today? Am I going to be able to catch this fish? How long is it going to take me to catch this fish? Is it worth it? And even if everything goes well, you can still hook that fish and lose it. So I'm having to make a decision at this point, and I decide that I'm going to do my best to get this fish to bite. This fish was being extremely skittish, and the wind was making it hard to see, but I knew it was a really nice fish, and I knew how much money this fish would probably be worth if I could get it to bite. I changed to a white drop shot worm so I could see the bait down there and leave it in the bed, and it was a bait that doesn't have very much presence to scare the bass. At first, she wouldn't even stay in the bed. She kept swimming off to the right. I wouldn't see her for a while. Then she'd come back, and eventually it got to the point where she would stay in the bed with the drop shot, but she wasn't being aggressive towards it. And now probably 30 minutes have passed, and this fish is very, very slowly starting to give me some better body language, making me think that I could potentially get it to bite. It was just such a nice fish, and there was not a whole lot else going on, that's why I decided to spend some time here. I had some other fish that I wanted to actually leave and go fish for later, but I didn't want to do that until much later in the afternoon, especially with how these fish were behaving. I didn't want to move and have them be acting the same way as this fish. But anyway, what I'm doing right here is what I know to be the best way for me to catch bedfish that are locked on, and that's eventually what this fish ended up doing. But you kind of play catch with them. You pitch that white craw in there, let it hit the bottom, and you hop it, and you try to hop it and make it hit them in the face. Regardless of how you feel about bed fishing, this fish is worth a lot of money. I got to do what I can to get it to bite, but that's what I'm doing. I just repeatedly flip out there, try to hit that fish in the face with this craw when she is sitting in the bed.
Please calm down. Can't tell where she's at. Okay, there she is. Come on, you dumbass fish. Yes! Inside the mouth. That's a lot of money right there. There's our third 19-inch fish of the day. Finally got a bed fish to lock. Awesome.
Not sure what tournaments look like for everyone else, but for me they look like this, a big giant mess. The only thing that's organized is the bait that's actually going in the water in front of that fish, because that is what really matters when it comes down to organization and crossing your T's and dotting your I's. But I've just made a move about 10 minutes down the road to another spot where I had 3 bedfish marked, and I was hoping if I could at least get one of them, I'd be set, because I had one 12-inch fish left, and I knew that at this point, every inch that I upgraded was worth a good bit of money.
I don't know. I got some bedfish in here that I'm gonna go try to catch. I hope that these other guys in here hadn't found them. They're kind of hard to see in this black water, so I got my fingers crossed.
So I started by checking out the biggest fish I'd found, and she was still there, but I set up, and before I even made a cast, she had already left the bed and never came back. So I checked around in the creek, looked at my other 2 beds. They were both vacant. Those fish had either been caught or left. Looked for some new beds, and I only found 2 more beds. One was a big one, and she left before I even got to make a cast. And then there was this little male right here that I'm trying to fish for, and he was pretty skittish too. I decided that probably my best course of action was just going to be to sit on this little male and see if I could use him to get rid of that last 12-incher. Didn't end up happening for me. I ran out of time. Unfortunately, I think I could have jumped up a few more places had these bedfish cooperated a little better, but I'm still really fortunate to have made the sight fishing work on that last day, because really, after looking back on it, it could have very well gone in a much different direction. I've fished enough tournaments that when things aren't going great, I can usually make a few good decisions that'll help me survive. I feel like between Toledo Bend and this tournament, I haven't really had a great event yet as far as finding a good pattern and finding a lot of fish to work with. I've just kind of scratched and clawed my way into getting inside that top 20 both times, which is excellent. Every decision does not have to be the right decision by any means, but if you make enough of the right ones, even when things don't go your way, you'll still have a solid tournament.